The 7 universal loops of alignment. These loops exist on the horizontal plane. They coincide with the major joints of the body or those major points of the kinetic chain. Once you know these 7 loops, you can apply them to any structure, any posture, and any position. We're going to go through all 7 loops today. Know that these loops are loops. They are circular. They are continuous motions. In this way, they're very dynamic like we are. They go from front to back and through the body. So they are a dynamic interplay of opposing forces as well. Loop number 1, the ankle loop, goes down the back of the heel, under the foot, and up the arch. Goes down the back of the heel, under the foot, pulls up the arch. Goes down the back of the heel, under the foot, and pulls up the arch. Down the back of the heel and up the arch. The ankle loop. Loop number 2, the shin loop. The shin loop goes up the calf and down the shin. Pulls up the calf, grounds down through the shin. Pulls up the calf, grounds down through the shin. Pulls up the calf, grounds down the shin. Pulls up the calf, grounds down the shin. Figure 8s with the ankle loop that goes down the heel under the foot and pulls up the arch. Figures 8s up the calf and down the shin. Figure 8s down the heel under the foot, pulls up the arch. Figure 8s up the calf and down the shin. Looking at the 2 loops together. Down the heel, up the arch, up the calf, down the shin. Down the heel, up the arch, up the calf, and down the shin. Ankle loop, shin loop. The thigh loop. The thigh loop pulls up the quad, comes around and down the back of the leg, the hamstring. Pulls up the front upper leg, pulls down the back upper leg. Pulls up the quad and grounds down through the hamstring. Pulls up the quad and grounds down through the hamstring. Pulls up the quad, grounds down through the hamstring. Pulls up the quad and grounds down through the hamstring. So we have another change in direction, meaning that with the thigh loop and the shin loop, we have a new figure 8. As we come up the quad, go around to the back of the leg, pull down the hamstring, cross over, ground down through the shin, and come up the calf. Cross over, come up the quad, down the hamstring, cross over, down the front of the shin, pull up the calf. Now, if we put the 3 together, we have pull up the quad, ground down through the hamstring, ground down through the shin, pull up the calf, ground down through the shin, go down the back of the heel, under the foot, and pull up the arch. Circular direction of the first 3 loops. The ankle loop. The shin loop. The thigh loop. The pelvic loop matches the same direction as the thigh loop. So this is the only one where we have 2 in a row that will be going the same direction. The thigh loop and the pelvic loop. So in this way, the pelvic loop moves down and tucks the tailbone, then comes up and draws the low belly button towards the spine, goes down the tailbone and comes up and draws the low belly towards the spine, goes down the tailbone, and this way you can feel that low back lengthen, comes up, drawing up the pelvic floor and securing the low abdominals back towards the spine. The pelvic loop. The pelvic loop, the thigh loop, the shin loop, and the ankle loop. The kidney loop. The kidney loop will reverse direction from the pelvic loop. The pelvic loop, the kidney loop. The kidney loop also helps to create more length in the low back by pulling up the back and the back of the rib cage, coming up the thoracic spine region, cutting through the rib cage, and then coming down the front of the rib cage and knitting the front ribs back and together, which comes back to the back of the rib cage, pulls up, comes through the chest, and then knits the ribs back and together. Goes down the rib cage through, knitting the ribs together to the midsection of the back, the thoracic region, pulls up the thoracic region to come up through where the sternum is at the front. And this continuous loop creates length in the low back and this knitting of the front ribs together and back. The kidney loop. The pelvic loop. The thigh loop. Same direction as the pelvic loop. Switching directions, the shin loop. Switching directions, the ankle loop. The shoulder loop. Switching directions from the kidney loop, we go up to the shoulder loop. The shoulder loop comes up the chest, broadening the front of the chest, takes the shoulders back and down, drawing the shoulder blades down the back, comes through the rib cage, goes up the chest, broadening and opening the chest, taking the shoulders down and back, through, up the chest, shoulders down and back, through, up the chest, shoulders down and back. The shoulder loop. The kidney loop. The pelvic loop. The thigh loop. The shin loop. And the ankle loop. The skull loop. The skull loop shifts the palate back, comes up the back of the neck, lengthening the neck, over the skull and down to the front of the jaw. Shifts the palate back, comes up the back of the neck, lengthening it, comes down the front of the skull and shifts the palate back. The skull loop. Shifting the palate back, lengthening the back of the neck, shifting the palate back, lengthening the back of the neck. The skull loop. The skull loop switches directions for the shoulder loop, which switches directions for the kidney loop, which switches directions for the pelvic loop, which stays in the same direction as the thigh loop, which switches directions for the shin loop, which switches directions for the ankle loop. These are all 7 of our loops. We can absolutely go through one posture applying all of these loops. Let's think simply of coming into Tadasana or mountain pose. Shift the palate back, draw the back of the skull up, shift the palate back, lengthen the back of the neck, shift the palate back, lengthen the back of the neck. Shoulder loop. Come up the chest, open the chest, draw the shoulders down and back. Come up the chest, broaden the chest, shift the shoulders down and back. Kidney loop. Knit in the front ribs, draw the low back up. Knit in the front ribs, lengthen the low back. Knit in the front ribs, lengthen the low back. The pelvic loop. Tuck the tailbone, draw up the pelvic floor, and draw the low belly to the spine. Tuck the tailbone, draw the pelvic floor up, and connect the low belly to the spine. Draw down the tailbone, draw the pelvic floor up, and connect the low belly to the spine. Pull the quads up, ground down through the hamstrings. Pull the front of the upper leg up, ground down through the back of the upper leg. Pull the quads up, ground down through the hamstrings. Ground the shins down towards the earth, pull up the calves. Ground the shins down towards the earth, pull up the calves. Ground the shins down towards the earth, pull up the calves. Ground the shins down towards the earth. Pull the heels down, ground them, pull the arches up. Pull the heels down, ground them, pull the arches up. Ground down through the heels, pull the arches up. Ground down through the heels and pull the arches up. So in this way, we can go through all 7 horizontal loops of alignment for any structure and pose. However, we can also focus on one loop or a couple loops that will help us achieve better alignment in a pose or in a transition of a pose. And I think Chaturanga Dandasana is an excellent example if you want to think about the skull loop of shifting the palate back and lengthening the back of the neck, and the shoulder loop, opening the chest and drawing the shoulders down and back, and even the kidney loop, knitting the ribs in, lengthening the low back. You can apply every loop for Chaturanga Dandasana, but focus mostly on that shoulder and skull loop as you come down. Draw the palate back, lengthen the back of the neck, broaden the front of the chest, draw the shoulders down the back, and keep that as you lower. Understanding these 7 loops of alignment will change the way you look at things and change the way you explain them and teach them too. It'll change and simplify and organize the structure in your brain and make it easier to translate those instructions to your students. Applying the 7 universal loops of alignment to chair pose. Utkatasana, ankle loop. Pull the arches up, ground down the heel. Shin loop. Ground down the shins, pull the calves up. Thigh loop, pull the quads up, hamstrings down and back. Pelvic loop, tuck the tailbone, tuck the low belly to the spine. Kidney loop, knit the lower ribs down and back, lengthen the low back. Shoulder loop, broaden the chest, take the shoulders back and down. Skull loop, shift the palate back, lengthen the back of the neck. Utkatasana, chair pose. Remember that these loops are loops. They're circular. They're moving. They're constantly moving. The back is influencing the front, is influencing the back, is influencing the next loop down, and so on and so forth. They were never separate. They were always working together, influencing one another. They are opposites in action. They are this incredible energetic system that's transmitting force and creating movements by working together. We are energetic loops, connecting, figurating, coinciding, wrapping, spiraling. We are loops, and what seems like an opposite can't exist without the other. This is opposite. This is front to back. This is one and the same. We think about opposites a lot as being completely separate from one another, having nothing to do with one another, and that's what makes them an opposite, when in fact, they need each other to be what they are. This loop here, from front to back, affects the front to back, moves from the front to back. It all is the same. They were never separate. And knowing this and looking at it in this 3-dimensional and continuous way, always changing, always flowing, always influencing one and the other, this is understanding not just the human body and body mechanics, but life.